What's going on, everybody? This is a 2012 Chevy Equinox with a 2.4 that apparently was towed into the shop as a crank no start. The shop had done all kinds of timing work, timing chains, whatever, and they can't get this thing running. Now I gotta give a special shout out to all of my Facebook friends and the groups that I'm a part of on Facebook, because I got a little redirect here and I'm going to share that with you. But I want to thank everybody. You guys know who you are. So here we go with this thing as a crank no start. When I first got to the shop, I did check codes. There were absolutely no DTCs stored in the vehicle, and I did a RC test. Basically, I started out with a wide open throttle, cranked this thing, and I heard a problem. I knew something was up with what was going on with the cranking. Here we have the results of the relative compression check. The blue is our amperage to our starter, and you can see there is quite a bit of variance going on here. Right off the rip, I knew something was up. I did have Cody's Auto Diagnostics pulse sensor in the intake, and I don't like what's going on. I mean, I see this here, and once I saw this spike, I was thinking we got some sort of maybe an intake valve leaking. This pulse sensor was on the intake, so I wanted to get a sync. So the next thing I did was I went ahead here and synced this up to cylinder number 1. And when I synced my ignition to cylinder number 1, this is basically the ignition coil control signal in the gold trace here. I could see something going on here. Look, this intake pulse is kind of like, should I say, the relative compression is low right here. Here's our what I thought was our ignition event for cylinder number 1. I see this rise in pressure in the intake kind of right after that. I thought I had something going on here. I wasn't sure what was up. But the next step I did was I went into the in cylinder, and going in cylinder on cylinder number 1, this is cylinder number 1 pressure waveform, and this here is cylinder number 1 sync. What do you see here? We should have this pattern a little bit before top dead center, right? And this is way off. So at this point I thought, hey, I got a serious timing issue. I don't know the technician that did the job, but the shop has done these jobs before, so I didn't think that they messed it up, and they told me they went through it like 3 times. This is where I came to a fork in the road with my diagnostic thought process. I could go one of 2 ways. We know we have a relative compression imbalance. There's something going on with the breathing of this engine that's not right. Also, we know for a fact that our ignition timing is off about 180 degrees. So I've decided, because the ignition timing I know is based off of, like, you know, the cam and crank sensors, that I went that direction. And I went ahead and did a cam and crank sensor waveform. And this is what I got here. So our red is our ignition pulse for cylinder number 1. Our blue is our crankshaft. Our green channel is our exhaust. And our gold channel is our intake. Let me go ahead and separate this out just a little bit so y'all can see what's going on here. Let's go ahead and take a section of time like this. Now, I know from my past experience the intake camshaft usually has a down short pulse that lines up kind of with the missing tooth, right before the missing tooth of the crank. So if I go ahead and drop this down here, I was expecting this. Now at this point I felt confident that my intake was in time. I was not sure about my exhaust camshaft being in time. So I went to the diagnostic network, and I actually pulled one of my own files that I had. Using the diagnostic network, go into resources. Over here you can search, and I just typed in 2.4, I think is what I typed in. And we have all these 2.4 engines, and I'm looking for the one that I actually put up there. And this is the one that I actually put up maybe a year or so ago. Oh, 2 years ago, my bad. So here's the file. So I actually downloaded this file, and let's take a look at what we have. And on this waveform, I think things were a little bit different. The gold is our ignition pulse, and I think I had my cam and cranks differently. My exhaust, my intake waveform is the red signal here, and you can see that lines up just like I said before. So our green is our exhaust. Here we have the exhaust camshaft having 2 highs with a short low, and the first high is straddling the intake camshaft on a short low between 2 highs. So it's kind of a lot to look at and take in when you're looking at it like this, but right here is what I want to see, is this exhaust camshaft should be high here our exhaust camshaft, which is this green trace, is low when it should be high. So this gave me confusion in my brain. I thought for sure at this point that the shop had mistimed the engine. Now, I did reach out to some of my Facebook buddies, and there's groups on Facebook. If you're not part of them, if you're an automotive technician, they can help you out greatly. I threw a post out there asking for some help, and some people pretty much were very quick to show me some help, and I appreciate that. Here's the TSB that was pointed out to me, and I'll be the first one to tell you I overlooked this because I was looking for, I saw that it said these DTCs and I didn't see that it said or crank no start. Right here it says or crank no start. I kind of slipped it. I missed me and I went over my head. So that happens sometimes, but basically here's a document talking about this slipped reluctor that you could have. They kind of tell you how to look it up and take a look what's going on. Here's a short video of the actual engine that was bad, and then another known good engine that actually was next to it. So here you go. I was pretty quick to come to the conclusion that our exhaust cam was out of time. And it has all new components that we went through many times on here. But looking at our exhaust camshaft position reluctor, which is right here, we have our two long highs with a short low in the middle. That's it right there. And you can see on this camshaft that it lines up. Basically, here's our intake camshaft lobes right here. Might be hard to see unless I get an angle on there. And if you go straight across, it nearly lines up with our exhaust camshaft low notch between the two long highs. Let's go ahead and check out this other engine over here. We happen to have a running vehicle that has actually a dead hole, flat out dead hole, but it does run, and our long notch is right here, nearly just a little bit below our flat of our cylinder head there, where the valve cover goes. And you see that long notch almost perfectly lines up with the exhaust camshaft lobes for cylinder number 4, not cylinder number 1. Cylinder number 1 exhaust camshaft lobes are pointing up this way. So that's it. That reluctor has slipped. And that's not to say that this engine may not have a large breathing problem. Hey, thanks a lot for taking the time to watch this video. If you like this content, please do like, subscribe, ring that notification bell. And also, if you want more in-depth training, actual training, lessons and courses that I'm putting together, check it out, handsonautotraining.com. We have the core site, it's $10 a month, or the premium site where we get together, live interactive Zoom meetings. I will talk to you through the problems, and actually we'll go through these case studies before I present them on YouTube. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. Have a great day.